The silence that was imposed on Jammu and Kashmir meant that the media could not operate at all. The job of the media is to bring out voices of the people, the ordinary people, the marginalized people, the oppressed people, other than highlighting the achievements and the failures of the government. And as a media person, I felt we were really not doing our job. A major chunk of the population, 9 to 10 million people of the state, were pushed behind an iron wall, and they were invisible. They could not be reached. They were potential voices that were hidden behind an invisible wall, and they were also our readers to whom we could reach out with information, and none of this was happening. The situation that arose after August 5th was desperate enough, because this was the first time that the communication blockade was absolute. No means of communication were available in the valley, including the landline phones, the mobile phones, the internet, and even in five districts of Jammu region, Rajouri, Punch, and the Chenab Valley districts were out of bounds. There was complete silence from there. That situation was so desperate that we didn't think that any other recourse would be useful. And the situation was desperate enough for me to take such a desperate action as to file a petition in the Supreme Court. The communication shutdown has resulted in losses overall, in almost every sector in Jammu and Kashmir, as with regard to healthcare. A lot of people in the very initial days, even the landline phones were not available. People could not, even call for ambulances. We heard of stories or later of people who had died and could not contact their family members. The other areas that underwent losses were the education sector. Research has suffered. Online education has suffered. People have not been able to take online tests. They have not been able to fill in forms. They have been deprived of job opportunities. Even memberships of certain clubs or libraries, which were all online. Everything these days is so digitalized that many people have been complaining of how they have lost membership of several clubs or other benefits. The banking sector has been affected. The business sector has suffered losses to which run into hundreds of crores of rupees. I think no sector has been unaffected by the shutdown. Even socializing has been impacted, and this has led to a lot of psychological distress. There are several people who run their business online, and that has also been impacted. As regards the financial losses to Kashmir Times, there have been massive losses. We haven't really made an adequate assessment as yet, but the losses would run into crores, and the losses are due to um, disability to print the Srinagar edition till August 11th, from August 5th to October 11th. October 11th, we restarted printing. However, it was a truncated version, and the circulation networks had not picked up. There were still restrictions on movement in various districts of Kashmir Valley, and there were losses on account of that. Also, in view of the fact that I had moved the court, the state government stopped our advertisements right from that very day. Uh, some ads were given, but few ads in November, in the month of November, and again they were stopped for no particular reason. And we faced massive losses in revenue on account of that. The Supreme Court judgment is extremely significant in terms of the principles that the court has laid down. The court has said that as upheld right to freedom of expression as inviolable, and has said that internet is an important medium of freedom of expression and cannot be taken away, and that government cannot use arbitrary powers to take away the internet connectivity of people for prolonged periods, and that if such a step has to be taken for a short period, the government must put in the public domain the reasons, the valid and explicit reasons for doing so. In that sense, the judgment is extremely significant because it will have long term repercussions, not just in Kashmir, but across the country. However, there is no immediate relief because the government has been asked to, make public the orders under which this ban was effected, and also set up a review committee to look into the whole issue of the internet ban and other communication ban. But however, it remains to be seen whether the connectivity will be restored within 7 days, or the government would find a way to circumvent around the order. However, it is hoped that the government um, acts in accordance with the spirit of the verdict. It has been an extremely difficult time for the uh, press in Kashmir to deal with the communication blockade. Kashmir's media has walked the razor's edge in the last 30 years and has faced many challenges, but this one was particularly difficult. In the sense that it completely froze the media, and newspapers were not being published for many days, barring a few newspapers, but the content of the newspapers was nothing much to write home about. They were reduced to pamphlets. They were only publishing government handouts or some news items picked up from here and there, but very little reports on Kashmir, no editorial comments, no opinion articles, and even if opinion, the newspapers that have been publishing opinion columns have been writing about inane subjects rather than about Kashmir and about the present situation. And the situation is such that it has virtually killed and throttled media in Kashmir. Media in Kashmir has been extremely vibrant in the recent years, and this is a very sad time for media. It will take a lot of time for media to revive. The communication blockade has added to the sense of intimidation and fear amongst media persons because they are hardly able to operate freely because of the internet ban. They are forced to operate out of the Media Facilitation Center, which is an inadequate facility and where the entire work of media persons is under surveillance. And this adds to the sense of fear in an already intimidating atmosphere, in the backdrop of the fact that several journalists were picked up or intimidated or threatened. So media has been not able to function freely